I stood there in my beautiful white wedding dress, veil flowing behind me, holding what should have been the happiest moment of my life. Instead, my phone lit up with a message that shattered everything. Effective immediately, your employment is terminated. Name is Sophia Reynolds, and this is the story of how my boss's son fired me on my wedding day as a so-called gift, and how one phone call from his father changed the course of my entire life. For 6 years, I had poured my heart and soul into Meridian Events, one of the most prestigious event planning and corporate hospitality companies in the city. I started as an assistant coordinator and worked my way up to senior director of client relations. I brought in major accounts, saved failing events, and turned stressed clients into loyal partners. I was good at my job. I was passionate. And I believed I was valued. My wedding to Daniel was supposed to be perfect. We had planned it for over a year. The venue was elegant, the flowers were exactly as I dreamed, and for the first time in months I felt truly happy. Daniel and I had met at a company charity gala I had organized. He proposed 6 months later, and life felt like it was finally falling into place. The morning of the wedding, I was glowing. My bridesmaids were helping me get ready when my phone rang. It was Ryan, the boss's son. He had been made operations manager 6 months earlier, even though everyone knew he wasn't qualified. I answered cheerfully, thinking he might be calling with well wishes. "Sophia," he said coldly, "I need you to come into the office right now." I laughed softly. "Ryan, it's my wedding day. I'm literally in my dress." Didn't laugh back. "This can't wait. If you value your job, you'll be here in 30 minutes. Something in his voice made my stomach drop. I told Daniel I'd be back soon, kissed him on the cheek, and drove to the office still wearing my wedding gown. When I walked into the conference room, Ryan was sitting there with a smug smile on his face. 2 security guards stood behind him. "Consider this my wedding gift to you, Sophia," he said, sliding a termination letter across the table. "You're fired, effective immediately. Pack your things and don't come back." I stood there frozen in my white dress, the fabric suddenly feeling heavy. Tears welled up in my eyes as I whispered, "Why? What did I do?" Ryan leaned back in his chair. "You think you're irreplaceable. You walk around here like you own the place. Today I'm reminding you that you're just an employee. Now go enjoy your wedding if you still can." I drove back to the venue completely shattered. My makeup was ruined. My hands wouldn't stop shaking. I had to walk down the aisle knowing I had just lost the career I had built for years. On the one day that was supposed to be only about love and joy. But what I didn't know in that devastating moment was that Ryan's cruel gift would soon come back to haunt him in ways he could never imagine. The wedding ceremony went ahead, but my heart wasn't fully there. I smiled for the photos. I danced with my husband. I cut the cake. But inside, I was breaking. Every time I looked at Daniel, guilt washed over me. I had just become unemployed on our wedding day. How would we afford our new apartment, our honeymoon, the life we had planned? The real pain came in the days that followed. Ryan didn't stop at firing me. He made sure the entire industry knew about it. He spread rumors that I was difficult, unprofessional, and had been let go for performance issues. Clients I had worked with for years suddenly stopped returning my calls. Doors that used to open for me slammed shut. I spent hours crying in our new apartment while Daniel was at work. I felt so betrayed. For 6 years, I had given everything to that company. I had worked weekends, holidays, and late nights. I had missed family events. I had turned down better offers because I believed in the vision. And in one moment of petty jealousy, Ryan destroyed it all. What hurt even more was learning the real reason behind his actions. One of my colleagues later told me that Ryan had always resented me. I had trained him when he joined the company. I had covered for his mistakes multiple times. When his father promoted him, Ryan wanted to prove he was in charge by taking down the one person who knew how little he actually contributed. The betrayal cut deep, not just from Ryan, but from the company I had loved. No one stood up for me. People I considered friends stayed silent. I felt invisible, worthless, and completely alone. For weeks, I struggled with dark thoughts. I questioned my worth. I questioned my skills. I even questioned whether Daniel would still love me now that I was just a fired ex-employee. The emotional toll was crushing. I barely ate. I barely slept. The beautiful wedding photos on our walls felt like a painful reminder of the day my life fell apart. But slowly, something began to shift inside me. I started updating my resume. I reached out to old contacts. I allowed myself to feel the anger and then used it as fuel. I realized I had spent years making other people's events perfect while neglecting my own dreams. Maybe this was the painful push I needed to finally build something of my own. Still, the heartbreak lingered, especially when I heard that Ryan was bragging at the office about putting me in my place on my wedding day. I didn't know it then, but the universe was preparing to balance the scales. 2 weeks after the wedding, while I was sitting on the couch in sweatpants still healing from the emotional storm, my phone rang. The caller ID showed Richard Harrington, CEO. My hands started shaking. Richard was Ryan's father and the founder of Meridian Events. He had always been professional but distant. I answered with a trembling voice. "Sophia," he said, his tone serious but warm. "I just found out what happened. I am deeply sorry. What my son did to you on your wedding day is unacceptable. I had no idea until this morning." I stayed silent, tears running down my face. Richard continued. "I've reviewed everything. Your performance records, client feedback, and the projects you saved. You are one of the best employees this company has ever had. Ryan acted without my knowledge or approval. I've already reversed your termination. Your position is waiting for you with a significant promotion and back pay for the time you were gone." I could barely speak. Then he added something I never expected. "Furthermore, Ryan will be stepping down from his management role effective immediately. He will be starting at entry level again so he can learn the respect and humility that you have always shown." The justice felt almost overwhelming. Richard personally apologized and invited Daniel and me to dinner to make things right. He also gave me equity in the company, a real stake in the place I had helped build. When Ryan found out, he was furious. He tried to fight his father, but Richard stood firm. For the first time, Ryan faced real consequences for his arrogance. The office watched as the boss's son was humbled publicly. Many employees later told me they felt relieved. I went back to Meridian Events stronger than before. I accepted the promotion, but I also started my own boutique event consulting company on the side. I no longer tied my entire worth to one place. I had learned the hard way that loyalty must go both ways. Ryan eventually reached out with a half-hearted apology. I accepted it, not for him, but for my own peace. I refused to carry bitterness. Instead, I chose growth. Today, I am happily married, professionally fulfilled, and at peace. The day that was meant to break me became the day that redirected my life toward something even better. If you're listening to this and you've ever been humiliated, betrayed, or knocked down on a day that should have been joyful, please hear me. Your story is not over. Sometimes the cruelest acts become the very moments that push you toward your greatest blessings. Never let someone else's small heart define your worth. You are capable. You are valuable. And the right people will always see that. I'm Sophia Reynolds. I was fired on my wedding day. But I rose stronger, wiser, and more respected than ever before. Thank you for walking through this emotional journey with me. Your dreams are worth fighting for. Your dignity is worth protecting. And sometimes, the best revenge is simply refusing to stay broken. Soft, uplifting music fades in You Are Enough, today and always.